Hey guys, welcome back to RMA Garage. In this video, we are going to be taking off the tires and opening up some of these plugs to see how much dirt has gotten in them. I'm recording this after I've done this because I forgot to record the intro. So enjoy what you're about to see, and I'll catch you back at the end. We are going to be taking off both front and rear wheels, and we are going to be looking at all the plugs for dirt. We want to know how much dirt has got into the seals and into the bearings and into the plugs from power washing it and from not taking the body panels off. So we are going to be taking apart the front wheel, and the directions say to use a suitable stand to raise the front wheel off the ground. Done. Warning, securely support the vehicle so that there is no danger of falling over. Done. Step 2, remove front wheel. All right, I guess that's it. We just removed the front wheel. There is no other explanation given in the book. Seems kind of strange. First thing we want to do is to loosen one side. Okay, that loosens the bolt on this side, but keeps the pinch bolt on that side. All right, take this side off. Okay, we got both sides loose. Now what we want to do, we want to take a socket, pound that through. Perfect. Okay. All right, so the axle still has grease on it. A little bit of dirt on the end, of course, where it was exposed, but the water didn't wash any of that away. Okay, so that looks pretty good. So now, moment of truth. Here we go. Okay, so we got obviously some dirt on the outside, and we have just basic dirty grease, but I don't see any brown mud. Now there is some dirt around the outside of the seal here, but on the inside looks like it's just dirty grease. Now these were repacked in the wheel the beginning of last year, but I do not see any dirt. So it looks like that the seals held the dirt out, and with it power washing did not drive any of the dirt in. Okay, let's flip this over. See what we got on this side. Okay. All right, so you can see where the dirt, where it's exposed, there's dirt, but on the inside, basically just dirty grease. Doesn't look like there's any dirt. There is some dirt around the outside of the seal, but it doesn't look like there's any dirt on the inside. And it looks like there's still grease. In fact, it's still red. I use the Yamaha race grease and the general purpose grease. It is still red, and there is no dirt. There is no dirt within that at all. Looks like the seals have held out the dirt, and the power washing has not driven the dirt past the seals. We are removing the rear wheel. So looking at the directions, there's a couple things I want to show you. It says to remove the rear axle nut, which we will do in a minute. That's here. Okay, but then it also says to loosen the lock nut and loosen the adjusting bolt. The directions say to loosen this up and to back this bolt in. Well, if we do that, then it's going to change our alignment, and I don't want to have to mess with these after I put the wheel back on later. So I will show you what I do to get the rear wheel off and not have to mess with these adjusters. Okay, now we're going to back the nut out. Okay, so take the nut off, take the washer off. Now we're going to get this started. Now, once it gets back to a certain point, this comes out. This is the adjuster block. So As you can see, there's dirt behind it, so we'll give it a bit of an inspection here in a minute. Okay, that should be far enough to pull this out. Okay, so then this block also comes out, and as you can see, there's a space between the axle and the adjuster nut. So what we'll do is we'll move this forward as far as we can, and that should give us enough slack in the chain to remove the rear wheel. There we go. Now this is a little bit of a trick to get it past the brake. All right, so the axle looks decent. There's still a little bit of grease on it, but not as much as the front wheel. So that might have been because I didn't have enough the first time, but it is definitely still has a coating of grease, just not as much as the front axle. All right, so this was one side of the block. That was the outside. This was the inside. So you can see there's a lot of dirt caked between the block and the swing arm. So some dirt and mud has gotten trapped between there that doesn't get washed out. We'll take this off and see what it looks like. That's the outside. Decently clean, I guess. Inside there is definitely a little bit of dirt around the block that gets trapped. This is basically just a cover for the seal and the bearing. So there is a lot of mud and debris around there. Inside, wow, inside is clean. The dirt has come underneath this cap. So it's gotten in there, possibly from power washing or, of course, riding through muddy streams like we have. So water may have gotten up to that level. But let's see if this is any mud or any dirt. No. Basically, in fact, it's still red. There is still red where I packed the bearings the first time. And these seals are still pretty rubbery around the outside. So it doesn't look too bad. And the inside is still red grease. So the power washing has not driven the dirt on the sprocket side. Let's see what the caliper side looks like. Okay. Ooh, yeah, this one's dirty too. Wow, look at that. So clearly the dirt does get inside these. All right. Of course, this is all dirty. Let's see. No, still red. No, I don't see any evidence of mud. So with riding this bike a year and power washing it dozens of times, the dirt has not been driven into the bearing. The second part that I want to show you guys are all the plugs. We want to look at to see how much dirt has gotten in there from a year's worth of riding. We're going to start with the fuse first. Fuse looks pretty clean. Now let's look at the socket. The socket looks pretty clean. Yeah, no, that's not bad at all. Okay, so we'll put all these back so we don't get any dirt in them. Okay, so then this fuse, just to show you guys, this is the spare. This isn't a socket, this is just a dummy socket, and of course there is no dirt on this either. So those have remained relatively clean and justifiable. There is a plastic cover that snaps over top of this. So you can see here and here, it keeps the dirt out pretty well. Okay, so let's do the next plug. So it looks very clean, except The outside of the plug looks very dirty, and that is because the dirt has gone to the side. Now let's look to see if there's anything on the inside. And there is actually, if you see right there where the plug is, there is dirt on the inside of that, but it hasn't gotten to the leads, which is in the center there. All right, so let's look at the socket. Socket looks fairly clean. There's a little bit of dust in there, but that's probably from me taking the plug off. So not too bad, encouraged. So that is relatively clean. Oh wow. Look at the mud in there. Okay, I got it. There is a lot of dirt in that plug. Oh yeah. There is definitely dirt getting in there. Let's try. This one here has always been kind of a sore spot for me because this is exposed when you're riding. The cover comes across here and it really doesn't cover these up. They're pretty well exposed. Wow. Look at that. That is a lot of dirt. This is the plug for the fan. I bought the aftermarket fan and installed this last year. So I put dielectric grease in there. So that is a lot of dirt. We're going to have to clean that out and maybe try and do some waterproofing with a boot of some sort, because these stick up straight up in the air. I actually had a crazy idea of trying to mount these upside down so water doesn't collect. Oh yeah, there's a lot of dirt in that one as well. Wow, you can still see the dielectric grease because I took all these apart to try and waterproof them. So that may have been our saving grace, but clearly we're going to have to waterproof these a little bit better. There's a lot of dirt. Oh yeah, look at the socket. Wow, this one is the worst one yet. Now this one, of course, is angled down. And as you can see, there isn't a lot of dirt on that one, so it's a little bit more protected from the air box. And that one's bone dry. There is no mud or dirt. Wow, and the socket is very clean. All right, we're on the other side of the bike. Now this plug here is mounted, the socket's mounted down, and this is the blank for where you plug in the computer. Let me grab my flashlight. So this plug, it's not bad. There's a little bit of dirt around the top part, but where the waterproofing, there's a rubber seal in there. It looks like it's clean, not too bad. And the socket itself, well, it looks pretty good. There's a little bit of dirt in there, but not as bad as some of the other ones. Okay, now this one faces up, so this one's usually mounted like that. So the socket is facing up. Pretty good. A little bit of dirt down below. Yeah, there's a little bit more dirt past the dust seal. Oh yeah, this one's really dirty. I don't know if you can see that. There's dirt that's basically just falling out. And this socket is definitely dirty. And you can see the dirt is definitely past the rubber dust seal. So that's going to need to be cleaned out well. Yeah, that one. Two other ones that I'm interested in. Well, these, of course, are mounted upside down. Sockets are facing down. And that one is very clean. So that one looks good. Now, it's behind the radiator, so it's not going to get splashed with mud too much, but they are facing down, and that socket looks great. That one's pretty good. That one looks good. The socket is good too. So when they're upside down, it looks like they reject the water better than the ones that are facing up. Okay, so I struggled to take one of these off. This is a relay. Now this relay there's a plug with a relay at the end of it. So I didn't get the relay off, but I did get the plug off. It took me about 5 minutes. These are very difficult to get off, so I couldn't really get it on camera. But you can see this socket is definitely has let water in. You can see on the side there and down inside of it. And if you look at the plug itself, there is definitely dirt that has gotten down the side of it right here. I'm not quite sure what to do. We may end up taking all these relays out as well. Now, that one wasn't taped. We have a couple, all of the rest of these have been taped. I may end up methodically taking those apart and then rewrapping them. That's going to take a long time. Now, we didn't experience any problems, so obviously these plugs are pretty resilient. And one other plug that I wanted to show you. This is the plug for the fuel pump. It is underneath the gas tank. I don't know if you can see right here, it is plugged in. So that's where it plugs in. And the plug actually looks really clean. Underneath, it looks really clean. There really isn't a lot of dirt around the plug. There's a boot that goes around it, so it keeps anything from splashing up. So that is the majority of the plugs that we've taken apart, and we're definitely got some work to do. Alright guys, that wraps it up for today. If you like this video, please click the like and subscribe button, and don't miss our next video. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.